They said Heinrich Wulf was the last of his kind, a hunter of monsters. But tonight in the mountains of Montana, the hunter will become the hunted. When Heinrich Wulf walked into the tavern, silence fell. His grey eyes gleamed like steel, a man haunted by his own hunts. The rain dripped from the brim of his hat, pooling on the dusty floorboards as he scanned the room. Every eye was on him, a mix of fear and desperate hope in their gazes. He was a living legend, a ghost story whispered around campfires, but tonight he was their only chance. The bartender, a burly man with a nervous twitch, wiped a clean spot on the bar. "What can I get for you, Mr. Wolf?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Heinrich didn't answer right away. He just pulled off his gloves, his movements slow and deliberate, and the silence in the room thickened, heavy as the storm outside. "Information," Heinrich finally said, his voice a low, gravelly tone that cut through the tension. "And a room for the night. It seems I have business in these mountains." The farmers spoke of cattle torn apart, of a shadow walking on two legs under the full moon. Three men, their faces pale and etched with sleepless nights, sat huddled at a corner table. One of them, a man named Silas with hands as rough as tree bark, slammed his empty mug down. "It's not a wolf, sir," he stammered, his eyes wide with terror. "No wolf I've ever seen. It's intelligent. It watches us from the tree line. It took my prize bull last night. Didn't just kill it. It tore it to shreds like it was enjoying the cruelty of it." Another farmer, younger and trembling, added, "My boy saw it. Said it stood up, like a man, tall as an oak, with eyes that burned like embers in the dark." Heinrich had heard stories like this before, the usual small-town panic fueled by superstition and cheap whiskey. But something in their eyes told him this time was different. This wasn't just fear, it was the profound terror of men who had stared into the abyss and seen something stare back. A low rumble of thunder shook the tavern windows, and a distant, mournful howl seemed to answer it, sending a fresh wave of shivers through the room. In the soft earth, Heinrich found what he feared most, footprints too large for any wolf, and too human to ignore. The rain had softened the ground, creating a perfect canvas for the night's horrors. Kneeling in the mud just beyond the edge of Silas's ravaged pasture, Heinrich held his lantern close. The light flickered over the impression. It was a monstrous hybrid, the long, vicious claws of a great wolf combined with the distinct five-toed structure and arch of a human foot. He traced the outline with his gloved finger. The depth of the print suggested immense weight, far more than any known animal in these parts. But it was the stride that truly unnerved him. The tracks were spaced apart with an unnatural bipedal gait. This creature didn't just run on all fours, it walked upright. It stalked its prey. He stood up, his lantern casting long dancing shadows that played tricks on the eye. He was no longer just hunting a beast, he was hunting an abomination, a creature that defied every law of nature he had ever known. He rode toward the mountains where the moon hid behind clouds. The silence was unnatural, the kind that meant something was watching. His horse, a seasoned mare named Shadow, grew skittish, her ears twitching at every gust of wind rustling through the pines. The forest trail grew narrower, choked with fog that swallowed the light from his lantern, reducing his world to a small, flickering circle. The usual night sounds, the chirping of crickets, the hoot of an owl, were gone. All he could hear was the rhythmic beat of Shadow's hooves on the damp earth, the creak of his leather saddle, and the pounding of his own heart. Lightning flashed silently in the distance, illuminating the jagged peaks of the mountains, making them look like colossal teeth ready to devour him. Heinrich kept one hand resting on the silver-plated pistol at his hip. He had the distinct, prickling sensation of being followed. The feeling of unseen eyes tracking his every move. The air grew colder, and the scent of pine and wet earth was suddenly tainted by the coppery smell of old blood. Then it spoke his name. No beast should know his name. He had dismounted in a small clearing, the air thick with a primal tension. His lantern flickered, threatening to die. A deep, guttural growl echoed from the darkness just beyond the tree line, a sound that vibrated through the ground and into the very marrow of his bones. Shadow whinnied in terror, rearing back on her hind legs. Heinrich held the reins tight, his gaze fixed on the impenetrable blackness between the trees. Then 2 points of light ignited in the dark, glowing yellow eyes filled with a malevolent intelligence. The growl subsided, replaced by a rasping whisper that slithered through the air. Heinrich. The voice was a mockery of human speech, twisted and distorted. A cold dread, colder than any mountain winter, washed over him. He had hunted werewolves, ghouls, and things without names, but none had ever spoken his. This was personal. Heinrich raised his pistol, silver bullet loaded, and waited for the darkness to move. The metallic click of the hammer being cocked was the only sound in the dead-still clearing. The silver bullet struck its shoulder, but it didn't fall. With a roar that was part animal and part machine, the creature leaped from the trees. It was a nightmare given form. A massive, twisted humanoid figure covered in matted fur, its limbs elongated and its spine hunched. Heinrich fired as he dove to the side, the flash of the muzzle illuminating the monster's snarling face for a split second. The bullet hit its mark, tearing a chunk of flesh from its shoulder. Black blood sprayed, but the creature barely staggered. It landed with a heavy thud that shook the earth, its glowing eyes locking onto him. And when it laughed, a horrible gurgling sound, Heinrich understood. This was no ordinary werewolf, it was something more, something engineered. The wound on its shoulder was already beginning to knit itself back together, tendrils of flesh writhing and sealing the gash. This creature didn't just heal, it regenerated. It was an engine of destruction, and he had just made it angry. "I've been waiting for you, Heinrich Wolf," it growled, its mouth twisting into a grotesque imitation of a smile, revealing rows of shark-like teeth. "I am number 7, Dr. Mengelé's masterpiece.